Welcome to episode 68 of Enter the Mind podcast, the most real talk, no nonsense podcast on the empowering of the mind. Today's topic is going to be learning bad self-help habits from movies and how to become aware of that. As always, make sure you listen until the end so that you hear the power question of the day. Before we launch into today's topic, how is it going this week, Kyra?
Going well, going super well. I've had incredible growth in Soul Design Future. So it's really overwhelming, but it's like an overwhelm of love. It's like an overwhelm of good vibes and love. And half the time I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm kind of just like, oh my fucking God. It's great. How's it going on your end?
That is awesome to hear.
Thanks.
How's it going over here? It's lots of lessons, I think, lots of reflections as we approach the holidays. It's an interesting time of year, interesting emotional energies in the air. But that's nothing new because the level that underlies that is the level of how do you approach every day, whether it's a holiday or not a holiday. It's your protocol and how you walk into the room of life. That's how I see it.
That was nice.
Thanks. Not bad for 7 a.m. California time, huh? So the topic, what inspired me to talk about this was I watched the movie Bridesmaids this week. I don't know if you've seen that.
It's my favorite, one of my favorite movies.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. Then
I know all about it.
Then you're a good person to talk to about this. Well, so my reaction was that movie made me furious. And don't get me wrong, tons of funny moments, especially like the sister.
Oh my God, Megan, short, fat one.
Yeah.
Love her.
She's hilarious. Yeah. But what made me furious was, and I'm going to try to explain this without spoiling the events of the movie for people who haven't seen it. But basically, there's a part where someone, what do you call it? Ignores another person. The other person gets upset, and then the first person tries to apologize by baking a cake, right? And so, but the second person doesn't accept the person's apology at first. And what I was observing was when the person apologized and the apology was not accepted, I got so furious. Well, first of all, I felt sadness because of natural human empathy, right? It's sad to see somebody apologize and then the apology is not accepted, right? Mm-hmm. So first of all, I felt sadness, but then I felt anger because I thought this is teaching bad habits, right? That's not how you apologize. You don't just make something. You don't just make some arts and crafts thing and then just send it to them without saying anything. That teaches people the wrong way to apologize. The way to apologize is you say, I did XYZ that resulted in this, or that was my fault. I apologize that I did XYZ, right? Mm-hmm. That is a proper apology. And it's I don't know, it's frustrating for me because I'm aware, as I'm watching this movie, I'm analyzing it. So I'm seeing it from a distance. My mind is very distanced from it. But the nature of movies and the nature of hypnotism and everything is that when you go to a movie, you don't think, all right, I'm about to be influenced right now, so I'm going to be on guard. You don't think that. You think, oh yay, I'm here to be entertained. I wonder how this movie's going to end up. Mm-hmm. So that's the point at which we are most vulnerable to bad social modeling, right? It's the moments when we don't think we're being influenced, right? Because anytime somebody's like trying to tell us what to do, here is how to apologize, blah, blah, blah. That's when we put our guard up. And that's when we say, well, all right, I don't know if this person's going to be telling me the truth right now, blah, blah, blah. So it's all of the other moments when we don't think that we're being influenced. That's when we're most susceptible or most vulnerable. Go ahead.
There are so many good points in this, and I'll touch on the first one. And it's completely true. You think that you're going to win my trust back, my friendship back with some flowers or a cake. It's very sweet. Honestly, I've always wanted somebody to start their apology like that with me. Like, I've always wanted to be in a fight with my love, and then he drops flowers off at my door, and then I look at the flowers and I'm like, fuck, you think this is gonna win me back? But at the same time, I'm like, flowers, so then I not expect, but I think it's very sweet to start an apology like that. And I feel like it comes with like a level of apology, because it's like, obviously that is not going to win me back. It was sweet of you to think like this, but let's see if you can handle the second part. Let's see if you can handle the second part of admitting what you've done wrong and not apologizing to me because you think I want you to apologize to me, but apologizing to me because you genuinely found something wrong in your heart. And you said, I did something wrong, so I want to talk to her. And even though the flowers didn't work, it was the first part of my apology. And now I'm going in for the kill, so that's how I think of it, like that. And then I loved what you were saying about, people don't think that they're being influenced when they go to a movie. They're all open. They're like, yes, I'm ready to soak all of this in, So, but then when somebody tells you, that you're here, this is how to apologize, and all of a sudden we have our guards up. And I think that has to do with the way that we were programmed, obviously, because our egos are always trying to defend us and make sure that we're okay. And our egos haven't been trained to understand that when we're watching a movie, yes, we probably should have our guard up. It's so easily, all of your energy, all of your portals in your body are open and susceptible to what is going on in the movie. And if we can train our egos to have less defensiveness or guard up when somebody is trying to teach us something, I feel like that would be extremely beneficial. And there was one more thing that I have to say about the movies. Yes, because it's like, okay, so when I'm around my friends who do drugs, right? Easily, they're having so much fun. They're they're doing lines, they're doing all this fun stuff, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, all right, yeah, guys, yeah, have fun, yeah, so I'm cheering them on from my standpoint, but I have a piece of my guard up, because even though I'm cheering them on, and like it's great and everything, and so it's kind of like, even though I'm watching this movie, I still have a little bit of my guard up, even though I'm still enjoying the movie. And a great place to let your guard down for the most part completely is a festival, right? Because you're at a festival and you're just kind of completely submerged in the experience, and everybody there, most people want to feel good vibes, so like your guard, we need to train our minds in different ways to put up our guard when a specific thing happens. And I feel like I'm rambling, but I feel like I'm trying to get this out. But so it's like we can train our egos to not have our guard up as much if somebody is trying to teach us something that can help us, right? But say you're at a festival and you're having this great time, and then all of a sudden this fucking weirdo comes up into y'all's group, and you're like, hold on, because there was an energy shift, you need to leave. You need to get out of here, so it's like, to be able to have that susceptibility when you're watching the movie, but to also have that guard up when you feel that threatened, but that threatened doesn't need to be your guard up when somebody's trying to help you, but it needs to be when something comes along that does not align with your highest good. So I hope that made sense.
Yeah, I think we should really delve into this topic here of mental filters and or mental guards, when to have that up. And you know, one of my coaches and mentors used to do corporate coaching and would go into these companies, you know, like Coca-Cola or Pepsi, or like these big companies, and coach their executives as well as middle managers, as well as what do you call entry level staff, right? And what he noticed was that if he asked the employees to do some sort of new exercise, sort of a Tony Robbins kind of, you know, stand up and jump around and cheer, and right, the higher level employees were more willing to do that exercise without hesitation, whereas the people in the lower positions at the company had their guard up and they're like, well, I don't know if I want to do this. Are you sure? Who are you, corporate coach? And you know, and it's like people almost have their mental guards up in the wrong, at the wrong time or in the wrong circumstances, right?
This is absolutely gold. It's completely amazing. Okay, so let's talk about, you know, how can we train our egos and our minds to understand when there is an actual threat and when there's not? Because, you know, there are times when I guess, you know, somebody that I love, you know, wants to tell me something about my life, you know, and I'm like, bitch, you know, but at the same time, I'm like, you know, I'm not happy about this right now, but I'm going to keep half of my guard open and half of my guard closed, because that's the healthy way to me. I can keep half of it open and be completely receptive and understanding of what you're saying. And if something clicks and I feel like you actually are trying to help me, then I'll open up, you know, and I'll remove a little bit more of that guard. But if I feel like what you're trying to tell me is not going to help me, then, you know, I'll build the guard up a little bit more, you know? So it's like, how can we train our egos to know in which situations, you know, we need to open up or close off a little bit more?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, one option is we pay attention to who's the person talking, who's on the stage or whatever. And if it's somebody that has the results that we want, sometimes we just have to model them. And as much as I sometimes don't want to do the steps that they took, I mean, if they got the results I'm trying to get, then I need to do what steps they took, you know? And I notice sometimes in myself resistance to some of those things. I mean, a deeper layer here is noticing these internal energies of resisting and being open to something. That's what I think I'm cueing into lately in terms of my own inner energetic awareness.
Could you give some examples of yourself in situations where you've felt comfortable opening up, or a situation where you felt uncomfortable opening up? And I guess what the situation was, would you mind sharing that?
I mean, some of it's like business, right? Like I told you that when I had that one coffee chat with the entrepreneur from Instagram that Grant Cardone follows,
Yeah.
a big influencer. And he's like, I was telling him about my YouTube channel, and he's like, you know, yeah, just post every day, post once a day, and, you know, post a new video every day. And he said it like it was nothing. And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, but man, I work full time. Like I exercise, I do all of these things. I don't have time to do. When I come home, I want to relax. I don't want to film a video every night. Like, so much. So now at the level of energy, I'm asking myself, what is that? What is that resistance? What is that pushback? Where is that energy coming from? Is it trying to protect my ego, or is it like trying to keep me small, or is that just a big excuse in the form of energy? Like, what is going on there at the level of invisible energy?
I completely understand that, but I what I really liked was the fact, because you do post quite often now, right?
Well, I post this thing once a week, and then I try to post in my like smaller videos once a week as well.
Okay. Well, I thought that it was interesting because, maybe, like, it's so easy to fall into, what could seem so easy to other people, but honestly, really might not be that easy for you, and that can also go into like a spiral where your guard could have been up to the point where it's like, okay, so it's like he told you, like, hey, I just post a video every day. Like, that's awesome. He made it seem so nonchalant. He wasn't pressuring you into anything. He was just, just post every day. He's just kind of saying something that is so easy to him and makes sense, right? Now that's awesome. He's clearly trying to help, so we can put our guards down. But at the same time, I'm a very busy person. I genuinely don't think that I have the mental capacity to be posting every single day. And that's where you need to put your guard up and say, thank you. I love this advice. And I think that it's fucking awesome that you could post daily. For me personally, it's not something that I can do right now that I feel comfortable with doing. And that's fine with me, so there comes like different points when you just need to be opening up and putting up your walls on a daily basis throughout momentaries of the day. Right?
Right. I feel like I have to keep my guard up like almost all day. I mean, unless you're around like a peak performer, like Tony Robbins or something, like I feel like
Yeah.
I have to always be on guard for like small thinking. And
True.
the reason is that we are so, like, as human beings, right? The easiest way that human beings learn is through social modeling. That's one of the easiest ways that we learn, right? Like that's how we learn to speak. We just, monkey see, monkey do. We just try, the best way you learn how to dance is you watch somebody else, a dance instructor, demonstrate it. And that's how I teach skateboarding class, because I've had some amazing, like unreal examples where I can see someone's capable of this new trick, but they've never tried it before. And I demonstrate it, and I say, look, pay full attention, 100% attention. As soon as I finish the trick, then you do it without thinking, just go. And so I'll demonstrate the trick, and then I'll go 3, 2, 1, go. And they do it, and they land it first try. And then what happens is then I allow some more time to pass. And that time is enough time for their thinking mind to turn back on. And then they start thinking, oh, wait, wow, can I really do this a second time in a row? Or wait, what's the step I do after I slide my foot this way? Then what do I do? And they start to overthink it, and they can never land it again. But they were able to land it that very first time because I went at such a speed that their mind was unable to step in and interrupt. And so my point there with that story is like, is that we learn so well. We learn so well through social modeling. And that's why, like, a lot of the progress I've made, I attribute to being around like successful people and just being like them, like living in their frequency and like just following their steps and like mimicking them, right? Like doing like they do, versus like trying to memorize some set of steps that they took and then execute on the steps. It's more of like mimicking. It's more of like acting. That's it. Yeah. It's like acting. It's like playing the role and like just acting like I'm that person. And so that's fine. Like when you're around people that you want to be like. But when you go to the store and the cashier, I'm just saying in general, I'm not saying bashing cashiers or something, right? But at the airport in Chicago, this happened, right? The cashier's like, yeah, all right, what's your thing? You know, and they scan your stuff and they're like, you know, and you're like, hey, how's your day going? Oh, it's $7.40. And they don't even answer your question. And they're like all lazy, right? And then they're like checking their watch and then like, what time am I off yet? You know, and it's like that kind of stuff. You need to put up some sort of filter or screen or block, because that energy, I think that energy will pull you down unless you've got the proper sort of perspective going on. Before you enter the store, if I tell you like, hey, just so you know, before you enter this store, there's a cashier here, and the cashier is just like, they're not succeeding in life. Like their mindset is in the gutter. Like they're just very negative person. Just want you to know before you check out in this line, right? So then you get in line, you walk through, you're going to approach that interaction with the cashier very, very differently, because you've been warned, you've been given a heads up that like, hey, you're about to encounter some really low vibrational energy, right? It's like when the airplane pilot says, all right, we're going to be entering a bit of turbulence here. It's going to be a little windy, and you kind of know what to expect. So that's kind of what and this comes full circle back to like Bridesmaids, right? When it's like we have to be aware like 100% of the day, like what energies we're going to be encountering. You know what I mean? How do you deal with energies, and do you think you prepare yourself ever, and do you think it's helpful to prepare yourself before you encounter certain energies?
100%. Definitely. You know, there are a lot of people that I love and care for in my life, but you know, it's not like their mindsets are the complete best. But they do have a beautiful mindset in specific aspects, but they don't in other aspects. So I make sure that my guard is up in those aspects, and then that I can put my guard down in other aspects. Like I have a friend who is, God, he is so fucking negative. And, you know, sometimes he'll send me a text and, you know, it'll be so negative, and I'll literally text him back and I'll be like, I really don't have time for your fucking negativity today. Don't text me with that shit. I'm not in the mood for it today. Right. So, you know, but then at the same time, he is an amazing seller. I mean, he can practically sell nearly anything because he's got just such good energy, and he's just so like amazing, you know, but at the same time, he's so negative. Right. So I'm not going to cut him off. You know, I'm just going to keep my guard up around him in the areas that I don't want. And I'll keep my guard down in the areas that I do want, you know, and I do that with every one of my friends, you know, because in every friend that you have, and everything that you choose to keep in your life, it's due to the law of polarity. It's going to have a negative and a positive effect on you. There are going to be negatives and positives. So if you are, you know, if you keep a friend in your life, just know that some of their negatives, they're going to become yours, you know, and I think that that's the key to choosing friends, because, you know, obviously you're not going to want a friend that you have to keep your guard up all the time. Like why would you even want a friend like that? You know, but obviously, I don't know if you've had a friendship before like this, but if you've ever seen two friends who have absolutely no guard up between each other, that's also extremely negative and bad. You know, you always have to have your guard up and down in specifics with the people and the things that you keep yourself around, because, you know, in work, you know, it's like, yeah, so a business, you know, but there are going to be negatives in that business, just as there are going to be positives. And you can shut yourself off and put your guard up to the negatives that really don't need to happen in your business. Like, I don't know, like fucking bankruptcy or like legal problems, keep your guard up for those, because those aren't even really a part of it, but you can keep your guard down to the beauty of business and everything. So like say in Bridesmaids, right? Say she had a target in life and her target was to be super full of integrity, have a good heart, do things the right way. And she brings her a cake and expects everything to be okay. That's not a part of her target. She hasn't hit her target with that one. So when you have a target in your life, say to become a rich billionaire, full of integrity, wholeheartedness, great family and everything. Okay, that's great. So that's your target. Now, throughout your life, what are you going to have to put your guard up to? And what are you going to be able to let it down to? And that comes to movies, that comes to people, and your soul will vibrate towards the things that you want to keep your guard open for. And it will also gravitate you towards the things to keep your guard up for, because you're going to have to practice keeping your guard up so you can show the universe.
Right. And it makes me think of just the concept of holding images in your mind, sort of the target, if you will, the target of what you're trying to accomplish, and then holding on to that frequency, because I think it's very easy for that to fluctuate.
Yeah, completely agree, because it's like, if you don't have a target, or you don't have an idea of where you want to go and who you want to be, you're going to be open to everything, and that's a way that I used to be. And I feel like, I'm not sure if it's definitely something that I didn't learn from movies, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, if you don't have a target, you're not going to know when to close yourself off. So somebody could be telling you something and you don't know if it's important to you or not, because you don't have a target. You don't know where you're going. But if you have that target and somebody's telling you something, your soul is either going to say, oh, this is good, open up, stay grounded and open up, or if it's bad, your soul is going to say, this is bad, this is not for me, close up now, so that's, I think, one of the best ways to learn to control when you're opening up and closing up. What do you think?
I feel like this is very, very significant. I think we're opening up a whole area of sort of inner awareness, and it's tough. It's this sort of paradox that on the one hand, we want to be able to pursue certain targets in our life, independently of what is going on outside of our control, right? If everybody in our life shows up with a bad attitude, like why would that, like we don't want that to affect us, because we're like, hey, we're here to accomplish something. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's a paradox because we're also humans. And so we are like vibrational creatures, and we're going to attune to what's around us, kind of whether we like it or not. It's really weird, because you can't be like shut off, because if you're shut off, it's like, to me, when I saw that scene in Bridesmaids, and that girl tried to apologize and the apology was not accepted, and she was really sad about that. When I saw that, I immediately took on her frequency of sadness. Oh my God. Just by the nature of human empathy, because I'm a human being. I see that person feeling sad, I feel sad, right? That's why we've succeeded on this planet, is because of that mechanism. But what we have to watch out for is, like, and this will be my final thought for the day, is is just the behavior, right? The behaviors, like you said, that's not how you apologize. You don't, bake some cake or make some arts and crafts or whatever, and then just like, and then just drop it off and then like hope and then hope that it goes well. Like you have a dialogue, and the scenes that were missing were very practical scenes. Like, they did not have a scene where she went to a friend and was like, okay, I really messed up and I need to repair this relationship. Let's strategize. Let's strategize. How would you approach this? Right now, that would be a very empowering scene. Had that movie contained a scene where the character said, where the character went around and she asked people, what would you do if you were me? And then she goes to another person. She goes up to a stranger on the street. Let me tell you this situation. Now, what would you do if you were me? And what would you do? And then she asks 5 different people, collects the best advice, and actually thinks hard about this stuff and is like, all right, I'm going to do this. Then the second piece that was missing in that movie was that her attachment to the outcome, right? She was too attached to the outcome. If she messed up, number one lesson in self-help is you own what you did, right? You own it, and you accept the consequences of your actions, right? So if she apologizes for what she did, good, that's ownership. But the other person's response, whether they accept your apology or not, is outside of your control. And because that's outside of your control, like you cannot hope for one or the other. Like you need to move on, because what happens in real life is people watch these movies, and then what happens? They go through a situation where they hope someone else is going to do this one thing. The other person doesn't do that thing. And now the individual is like either heartbroken, or they're sad, or they're depressed for 3 months because they had this hope or expectation of another person and they didn't follow through. It's like, why are you going to miss out on 3 months of your life? But that's exactly what happens in the movies. It's a world record of really bad social modeling of people that are not, looking reality in the eye and tackling things. It's people acting emotionally, being like not thinking strategically about how to master their life. It's like movies are about people that are in the middle of the drama, and they have these like hopes and dreams or whatever. And it's that's why I don't watch movies. But
I actually wanted to touch and build off of something that you said with the scenes that they don't show in the movies. And I think that is one of the biggest things. And that's something that actually I've been wondering about, right? Because when I was younger, yeah, I probably did think that things should be as easy as they are in movies and as swift. But say there's a movie about 2 friends who are in a fight, right? Or a couple who is in a fight. They may show that beginning scene of like the fight where it's like, this isn't working, and the other person is like, this isn't working, and then they skip the scene, right? And then maybe they show like both of the people being happy in their own lives. But what they didn't show was the intense fucking talk that the couple had or the friends had. They don't show that. So we don't know how to handle that. We don't know, because we're kind of modeling what we've seen in movies, and when is the last time that we have gotten a front row seat in reality to somebody arguing? Like it doesn't happen very often, so we learn from the movies. And I thought that was really good to point out, the scenes that they don't show in movies. We need to remember that those are real as well. And I also wanted to just make one last point. So the other day I was talking to this guy, his friend, and they were talking about how like they go and give kosher food to like the Jewish school or something, or homeless kids, I don't know. And I was talking to the guy, And I could tell that he wasn't really interested in what I was trying to say about, like, because I want to start a homeless project in Miami Beach where I coach the homeless. And he was busy talking about buildings and stuff, right? So I kind of closed myself off, right? But then as soon as I closed myself off, he said something and he goes, well, you could get the government to pay you. You could get a building from the government and turn it into like this, and that, right? So my guard automatically then opened up. And I said, oh, all right. All right. Well, that's a great idea. Thank you, actually. Thank you so much for that. Right. So throughout a conversation, like, I feel like somebody can feel when you close yourself off, and everybody wants human connection. Everybody wants to help. Everybody wants to put in their 2 cents. And when you feel somebody closing yourself off, that's a sign to you saying, I'm not doing something right. Let me try a little bit harder. Right. So he then gave me some information that was helpful and I was happy. So those are just my final thoughts on today's topic of movies giving us bad habits. What's our power question?
Anytime you're witnessing something, other people behaving, or even if you're watching television or something, asking yourself, is this something I want to do? Or maybe a better question is, if I did what they're doing, what results would I get? I like that one. If I did what they're currently doing, what results would I get? Because it kind of puts you back in that logical, strategic mindset of like, hey, your behaviors are going to get certain results, and brings you to that awareness of like, is this something that you want to be copying, or something that you want to be kind of blocking off and not doing? What do you think?
I like it. I think it's a great question, and I would also like to add on top of the question an activity. What's your target in life? And I've actually been helping a lot of women with this in the DMs in Soul Design Future, and surprisingly, not many people know or understand the depth of a target, right? So for you, an activity is when you die, when you're going in the grave, what's that target, baby? How much do you want to earn? You want to earn 1 billion? Great. How are you going to get there? Incomes? Great. How much are you going to earn from each income? Do you need more incomes? How do you want to feel throughout all of this? This is your target. And through that target, and then you ask yourself the question that Robert said, the power question, then, you're going to have your target and you're going to say, if I did this, where would it get me? Right? What would happen to me? And if that shit don't align with your target, then don't do it.
Yeah, super good stuff. And yeah, let's make sure make sure that people know about your Instagram, because it sounds like there's a lot of activity there. So if people want to get in touch with you for coaching or ask you questions, whatever your Instagram is.
Soul Designed Future.
Soul Designed Future. Got it. Very good. And I can be reached over at Existence First on Instagram. We are in the process of creating a Facebook group for Enter the Mind. So stay tuned for that, because that will be an area where everybody can post questions and successes and sort of have a community conversation on these very valuable topics. So as always, thank you for listening and or watching. And if this was helpful, show your love by hitting like button and sharing with your family and friends. We'll see you next week on episode 69. Thanks.